first week of October. So yeah, kicking off for myself.
Excellent. So established business, how long has that business been in operation?
38 years.
Right.
Yeah, so retirement sale, it's commercial maintenance. That's all I can say at the moment. But yeah, great business. About 20 employees.
Yes.
Quite specific in the services that it offers. So I'll be looking to diversify that business within the first 12 months. Add more service lines.
Excellent. Well, that's really good. And obviously, I know systems is a hot topic when you're dealing with a team of that size. And what would you say their existing systems and processes out of 10? What would you rate them as?
So one of the reasons why I've settled on this business is the systems are pretty much non-existent. So financial management, they utilize Xero. That's the only advanced system that they utilize. So I'll be implementing a workforce management system and a job management system, two which I've already settled on.
Okay, excellent. So what's your business background?
Myself?
Yes.
Most recently, I was a national general manager of a multinational security company.
Okay.
Worked in the security industry for over 25 years.
Fantastic. All right. So used to running teams and all of that as well, and probably highly systemized. Excellent.
Absolutely.
And in terms of this session here is around systemizing businesses. So just so I have some context, what are you possibly looking out for?
I'm just interested to hear, other people's journey. I don't know, whatever you have to offer in terms of your experience. And I think I'm quite well versed in implementing systems into business.
Yeah.
I've completed quite a few strategic acquisitions throughout my career as well, where I needed to do that. So I'm just interested to hear everybody else's journey and what they're doing.
Sure. Excellent. And feel free to share any of your experience as well while we're here. Thanks, Scott. And all the best with the acquisition. That sounds really exciting. Yeah, I often when people say, I'm going to start a new business, I'm like, why don't you buy an existing one and fix that one up? So that's great. Richard, I'd love to hear about your journey.
Yeah, I've been in sort of the financial advice industry for the last 30 years, got made redundant out of a large business last year and set up a buyer's agency business and working with a lot of financial planners and going through the stage now where a few growing pains and probably finding myself got too many hats on and probably need a little bit more support and as far as growth is concerned.
Okay, awesome. And so it's good that you've got that good referral network then from the financial plan. Is that where you're getting most of your leads from and your clients?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. How many people in the team?
One.
Just you. All right, well, we can definitely talk about that as well. Hi, Swanee, good to see you. I hope you're well. Hi, Shankar. Hope you're doing well as also. Rafiq, Emil, and I'm not sure if that's a name, but Kalade, 2525. If you like to share a bit of your, where you are in your business journey as well, that would be great. Well, today I want to go through pretty much sort of a high level of. My son's just delivered lunch, so I put in the system of son delivering lunch at 12 o'clock. And systemizing can mean a whole lot of different things, but I'd love to hear in your understanding, what does systemizing mean to you? If you want to pop that in the chat, what does systemizing mean for you? Is it technology? Is it people? Is it a thing? What does systemizing mean to you? Automation. Yep. And we'll certainly talk about that. Any process that saves time, yes. Shankar runs a business that does exactly that. So he implements CRMs and processes. So that's definitely one of the things that we'll talk about today. Hi, Bruce. Good to see you. What does systemizing mean to you for this? That's one. And out of 10, 0 to 10, 10 being, McDonald's standard, where are systems, how would you rate your business in terms of how it's systemized? How well it's systemized? 4 out of 10, yeah. And for those that are, say, under 5, where do you see, what are the main challenges that you're seeing from the lack of systems? Over reliance on individuals, so you've got key person risk there. Some people in that business been there for a while, Scott.
Yeah, it's mainly the business owner, the current business owner.
Okay, so it's all in his head.
Yeah, many of the processes he manages directly himself. So he works in the business quite a lot as opposed to working on it.
Yeah, all right. So,
and I'd say the main thing, it hasn't enabled him to scale the business up.
Yeah, well, you've got good opportunity there then, if the business fundamentals are good. How long is he going to be staying around for after the acquisition?
It's a 4-month handover. Yeah, so I'm paying a retainer fee to keep him on board just for the IP and client relationship piece. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll talk you through as well what you might be able to do in the meantime to try to extract as much information and process out of his head in the meantime, apart from sort of tying him down and pulling out his brain. I don't think we're allowed to do that. But yeah, good opportunity there. Swanee, I'd love for you to share what are the challenges you're seeing there with your systems?
Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Yes, so at the moment, we've started the process of documenting everything on paper. We're just at the very beginning, but yeah, it's all in the director's head, and and we get in trouble if we don't do something right.
Yeah.
But if it's in his head and it's not on paper for people to review or to know what to do, then it doesn't. It's then obviously not a great working environment either. But things can take longer because we're reinventing the wheel or we're doing something the long way around. So,
and is that affecting decision making as well with the other team members?
I think it's just still having all the reliance on the director and not people being able to make that decision themselves or just following the process and getting the job done. But coming back to the director all the time, is it okay to do this? Is it okay to do that?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think who wrote previously, Scott, over reliance on individuals.
Yes. And so there's one part of that, you've got the system side of things. You might have great systems in place. However, you also need some level of decision-making framework as well. So because there's not always going to be, not everything's going to be cookie cutter that fits in that one box. So you need to come up with a framework that allows the team, either whether it's a matrix or whichever, where if you've got common scenarios that come up, that the team are able to, and empowered, right? You talk about team culture, empowered to make that decision and know that it's in alignment with what the director is looking for as well, and the business as a whole. Thanks for sharing that, Swanee. Richard, what are you finding as a challenge?
Well, it's not really a challenge because I know what I'm doing. I just don't really have any systems in the background
to bring on
new people. I think that's the biggest challenge I've got. Is like, I know what I got to do, and I'm pretty competent at that side of things. But if I've got to try and expand out and bring some more people on, well, God, I'll be doing so much work with them as opposed to doing what I'm doing, and it's going to take me away from the business.
Okay, so impacting your scalability
Mm.
as well, and again, reliance on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you being that key person. Okay, so there are a few things, and I want to really, I'm not going to really present slides or whichever. I want to have more sort of a discussion and be able to practically show you some of the things that can be put in place, and also sort of share scenarios where we work with a lot of different business owners of different sizes. We're talking about solopreneurs up to, hopefully they're not long being solopreneurs by the time they work with us, to businesses that have over 50 staff. So the key thing is recognizing that at each stage of your business, obviously, Richard, where you are, their challenges are going to be a little bit different to where a business like what Scott's acquiring as well. And so we've got to make sure that we've got those key foundations in place to ensure that that you're able to continuously build on them. Because if you don't have those key foundations, then you're going to find yourself sort of struggling. Not saying that it's impossible. It's never impossible. It's going to be struggling to then get people on board. So a key thing with Scott now, what he's going to be, the challenge that he's going to be working with is, how do I get everyone that's been there for a long time to be on board to, one, process out how they do things. But part of systemizing is not just looking at how you're doing things now, is how do we optimize and make things more efficient. And so when you've got an existing team, the challenge is, because people are very comfortable, people don't like change. Not a lot of people like change. And depending on the culture that business has, you're going to have to manage people's expectations on change in that regard. Again, it's just something that right now, Richard, you don't have to deal with, because you're going to be establishing the systems and the culture of the business from the very, very beginning. Swanee, in your business, I know at the size that you're at, you're going to have a little bit more flexibility, but thankfully, if you're able to start to really get that out and that decision making out of the CEO's head, it's going to make things a lot easier for the rest of the team, and for him as well, and for you also. Okay, so where we start off is getting real clarity as to where you are in the business, and we share a model, and I will share a particular model that we have, which we call the growth model. And the growth model is hinged off, when I initially started the Growth Hub, is understanding what are the key elements that allows a business to scale. And what we came up with is, you need to have the strategy, you also need to have the systems, and you need the superstars in the business to allow it to scale, but to be sustainable. So it allows you as the business owner ultimately to step away from it. And looping around, I'll bring up the image in a moment so you can see it. Each time, depending on where you are in the business, it's a constant loop around. It's strategy. Strategy could be, how am I taking my business to the next level? What's my marketing strategy and all of that? Then you put that in place, you get clear as to what that strategy is. Then you put a process to allow that strategy to be executed. Because you've got to put a process first in place before then you add your superstars who are able to execute and implement that process. Once you've done that, it frees up capacity. Then it allows you to go back to strategy, to go, all right, well, what's the next strategy? So you're constantly revisiting this growth model continually as a business. And that's that becomes your role as either the manager of the business, the leader in the business, or the business owner, if you don't have someone who's say like your general manager or your integrator, that becomes your role to begin with, is the person that identifies where it continuously needs to keep looping around. So I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. So there's a few key things when we look at, again, with systems, is understanding and where you need to focus your energy first is whether you have a people problem or a process problem. People problem or a process problem. Why do we say that? Because more often than not, when there are challenges in a business, I'd say 90% of the time it's a process problem. Why is it a process problem? Because one, you might not have a process in place to begin with. So that's clear. If you do have a process in place, it may not be clear. It may be a superseded process. It may be a process that hasn't been documented sufficiently so that it provides clarity to the person that's executing it. I know Bruce, one of the things that Bruce says, you've got to provide certainty, clarity to provide confidence for someone to execute. So if you look at your process, so if something's gone wrong in your business, ask yourself, if you've got a team, for example, I never instantly blame the person. I go, what was the process for this? What was the process? Do we have a process in place? And they say, yes, great. Did we follow the process? Yes, no. Yes, okay, well, is the process actually sufficient? You know, was it clear enough for you to execute it in a way that would allow you to avoid this challenge? Yes, no. And if it's a no, then you go, all right, well, I need to actually refine this process. Was it a process, or then do I need to go and refine the decision making around that process? And if you go, well, actually all of that is fine, but the person didn't follow the process, one, or the person totally, so didn't follow the process, two, they're from a personality wise just ignored and totally made up their own process, then you've got a people problem. Then you're addressing performance, a performance issue there. But address the process side of things and then the people side. I'm going to bring up that growth model, like I mentioned, before I get too carried away here. Where are we? Ooh, middle person. Thankfully, he is dressed. I'm going to share my screen. So we take all our clients through what we call a bit of a growth plan strategy to understand where people are. And as I mentioned before, depending on the stage of your business, you might be in survival mode. So you're at the very beginning, you're starting out. And so you need to sort of focus on increasing leads and improving sales and marketing. So if you're up to this point where you're like, you've got a decent level of leads, it is around delegating low value tasks, but really also putting in those processes in place and building your sales and marketing machine, understanding your numbers, and also putting in your SOPs. All right, that one went missing, for example. Once you've started to delegate put your systems and delegate low value tasks, and like I said, you're looping back to your superstars as who are the right people that I need to put in place to start to replace the roles that you're doing so that you can start to replace yourself and step away from it. And at the very, very top, it's around, all right, how do I start to look at acquisitions or exit strategies, or, you know, whether you want to franchise out your model or whatever that might be. That's another stage. That's a further stage. And that that requires a different level of systems and strategy. This is the model I was talking to you about. Strategy, systems, and talent, which is superstars. Strategy will be your marketing, might be your marketing strategy. That could be pricing strategy as well. Ultimately, really, this is your growth strategy. So what is it that I need to put in place strategically to, that might be a partnership strategy, whatever that might be from a strategic point of view to take your business to the next level. Systems are around your systems and processes. So I mentioned, Scott mentioned before, he's got some tools that he wants to put in place. For most people, it's around what are the basic tools that I need to put in place. So it might be a CRM, might be task management, but we also talk about how we communicate with our teams. So you might put in systems like Slack, for example. Are anyone here not familiar with what a CRM is or task management tool? What CRMs are you using? Want to share what sort of CRMs you're using? Zoho, yeah. And Richard, any CRMs in place?
ClickUp.
Okay, yep. So that's you're using ClickUp as your CRM?
More of a management process.
More the management, okay. So that might be Zoho. Scott, are you guys using any CRMs?
No, the business doesn't have a CRM at the moment. All the growth is through organic referrals, etc. There's something that I will be implementing though.
Okay. Yeah. And then the next part is also looking at communication, either with, and I'm going to say comms with your team, and then comms with your clients. So this could be in the form of so a tool like Slack to improve your team communications. Anyone here using Slack? No? Is anyone not familiar with Slack?
Heard of it, don't use it.
Don't know it, don't use it. Well, I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek of what Slack does. Slack is really good if you've got teams. If you've got two people, maybe you want to use a WhatsApp, or you're using something like you've got Teams. You might use Teams if you've got Office 365. If you've got Google, there is an internal chat function in there. We use Slack across our whole business, and we probably have, I'm looking at it, close to 30 Slack channels in our business. And why we do that, because we're a wholly virtual business, we find that Slack, and I'll do a bit of a share for you so you can see what's happening. Happening there. Share this tab instead. So if you can see there's the bananas, because this is our socials. So we've got social interactions that are happening in our Slack channel. It allows our teams to be able to communicate on an ad hoc basis as to what's happening. But it segments different channels according to whether it's special interest. As you can see, we've got CS, so that's client success. We've got client success invoicing, there's marketing. We've got different teams that are in here as well. As you can see to the left, we've got finance, human resource. And although we've got quite a process and systemized business, there's always going to be communications that happen, and you don't want them to happen in email. So you'll find that if your business is relying heavily on email between team communications, the risk that you find there is that communications get lost in email because people just have so much on. Whereas this allows you to segment the communications, and the conversations, which makes it very targeted. Right, so if I'm talking about payroll, I'm only talking about payroll in the payroll channel. So who needs to be in the payroll channel? We've got HR and we've got finance. We don't need every person to be there. If I've got sales, I've got a sales channel. The great thing with the sales channel as well, we can talk about automations, is that if a sale comes through, we get notified through an automation that you've got a new client that's come through. And so everyone does a little celebration because it's virtual, right? And so they press on the little emoji that goes boop. But people see things happening, and it allows us to go, all right, we're all on guard. We know we need to prepare for whatever the next process is. That automation in that channel is going to trigger that automation. So we go back to our, who sort of looks at that and goes, I think that might be helpful to put into my team. How are the ones with teams at the moment? How are your teams communicating? Is it predominantly via email, WhatsApp? Pop it in the chat as well if you like. Is it through Teams? Hi, Daniel. Thanks for joining us. Are you in Office Pre? Yes, Microsoft Teams is very good. So it's similar to Slack. So if you're Office 365, definitely leverage your Teams. Yes, WhatsApp. WhatsApp, I find, is just really difficult to keep on top of. Is that what you're finding the challenge there, Swanee? Because you've got just so many.
Yeah, I'm not involved in every group, but I see everything, so I can ignore a lot of it.
Yeah, and Teams, because are you using Office 365?
No, we tend to use all Google suite of products. Yeah.
Okay, so
I much prefer Teams. I think it's user friendly than Google Docs and things like that, but that's just a preference.
yeah. So depending on what you want to do with your technology stack, so we're going to talk about technology when you're talking about systems. It's whether you're using something like Google Chat. So we run off Google Workspace. We don't use Chat because it doesn't have as much functionality as Slack does. And I know that, and if you recall, I've just shown you what a fairly extensive Slack channel that we have, or Slack Workspace. We're actually on the free. We're on the free subscription. This isn't a paid version of Slack. For a paid version of Slack allows you to put in a lot more other features, which we don't use, but we still have the ability to create automations through this. So highly recommend Slack in terms of internal communications. The other thing we need to then understand in terms of your systems and processes, if I can share my screen again, is your communications with your clients. So communications with clients, how do you all normally communicate with clients? Is it through email, WhatsApp, something else? Do you have a portal? Does anyone have some sort of a portal or a dashboard? WhatsApp again, okay. And how do you find communications in WhatsApp in terms of, I guess, the client journey, Swanee?
Their clients are pretty good with it. They tend to use it and stick on there. We say that we'd rather use WhatsApp than email.
Yep.
So your clients are, more than happy to be chatting on there, but maybe it's just our niche clientele that use WhatsApp anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand. I know your niche quite well. And yes, there's quite a lot of use, reliance on WhatsApp. in saying that one of the things that we noticed as well is that often clients, even though they're in WhatsApp, it's not as easy for you to keep them. It's not as easy for them to keep on top of the tasks that they need to be on top of as well. So, for example, if they need to sign off on a particular document, so this depending on the type of business that you have, to sign off on a particular project or a document, or they need to approve on something, emails and WhatsApp doesn't really have the capacity to do that and remind the client to do that. So you might look at then putting in something like a client dashboard, for example, which allows all the information that's related to that client, which could be an agreement. For example, if you need clients to approve on drawings, some people are parts of marketing agencies, or even approve on properties that you're presenting to them, then a dashboard allows them to be able to have that all in one space as well. Signing agreements that can happen all in one spot, so that the client isn't continuously coming back to you asking about, where's this? Did you send this to me? Can you resend that? Can you resend that to me? Because again, it's around creating efficiencies, but also empowering the client to understand, this is my space. I can go in and feel like this is my private space, but I can communicate with the business directly, as opposed to just purely being in an email. And more so, client dashboards are very, very helpful if you're working with a client through a particular journey or project. Right? If you're doing a transaction, it's a single transaction, maybe not so much the need. But say if you're, example for marketing agencies, you're going through and creating a website design. That's a whole project, and you need to collect a whole lot of information. Or if you're a you might be a builder or a developer that has to take a client through the whole milestones for building, and you want to share with them photos, a client dashboard will be really helpful for that. So look at the communications and the solutions that you have for communication, not just for your team, but for your clients. And the next one is, actually even before this, is your written SOPs. Who has SOPs in their business, written, documented SOPs? Ooh. Sorry. And how do you use those SOPs, Swani? Like, how does your team use those SOPs?
So they're all on the Google Drive in a general spot where everybody knows where the process manual is.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, yeah, we've gone through that process with you of doing a bare bones, and now we're filling in all the intricate gaps, the absolute step-by-step 1 through to 9 steps,
Yeah.
So at the moment, where all the team are just jumping on board to a specific chapter and starting to document everything they do. And then, yeah, we'll always go back to that. So there's the scripts, there's the step-by-steps, there's screen captures, we've got everything going on.
Yeah, fabulous. And how have you found that has helped in terms of bringing on new team members, or number 2, just the way that your team's been operating? How has that helped?
So because we're right at the beginning, we're still, as you mentioned earlier, laying that foundation. And we have brought some people on, and it's been very hard for them to do something because we don't have that foundation fully documented. So that person hasn't worked out, and it's probably 75% our fault because we didn't have that foundation in place, and then expecting them to do that role. So and this is why I sort of like the boss wants to scale, but I say, well, we can't scale because we don't have the processes and we don't have that foundation. So they're going to be, those people coming on board will end up being disappointed with what we're offering as a business. And yeah, it just doesn't work out. So
yeah, so it goes back to what we said at the very beginning. Is it a process issue or a people issue? And you've identified that you've got a lack of process. Well, there's process in place, but it's not clear and concise enough to provide confidence to the
yeah, and
people.
we're also trying to do it in a logical order. And I don't know about you guys, but you know, you want to start from the very beginning and then document everything in a logical order, because step 1 or chapter 1 might affect chapter 2 and chapter 3 and so on.
Yeah.
So we're trying to approve chapter 1 before we actually formalize and document chapter 2. As we've got the bare bones happening, but you know, you sort of see that automation happening from chapter 1 to chapter 2, chapter 3. So
Yeah.
that's sort of where we're at, and you can't sort of start at chapter 9 without really know what's happening at chapter 2. So I don't know if that makes sense to everybody, but that's just how I'm trying to do it at the moment in a logical order.
In a flow, I guess. If you're talking about sort of a workflow for the business, because it's sort of a knock-on effect. Is that what you're saying?
Correct, absolutely.
Yeah. Bruce has said, to scale, we need a platform. The platform needs to be stable, people, processing, technology first, then we can scale. Absolutely. And that's what we're focused on. So once you've put that process in place, then it's around going, you know, how can we optimize it? So you know, how can we make it more efficient? Well, number one, if you've got strong processes in place and people know what to do, then that's going to create efficiencies to begin with. Then with, you know, thankfully we're in the age where we can actually automate things. So we can do automations, and automations are, you know, like we mentioned here, you can leverage something like a CRM, you know, a task management tool. But AI is a huge part of this. But automation could be things like Zapier. Does anyone here use Zapier? You familiar with Zapier? So Zapier, how do I explain what Zapier is? Zapier is a technology which allows you to connect different tasks or software together as part of a workflow. So I'll give you an example. Say you have a key example in automation that I'll share with you. When a new client signs on and they fill out a form. So first thing they do is they fill out a form. They then, once that form is completed, there's an automation that triggers our Google Drive to go into our template folders, where our client folders are, to then duplicate that template folder and fill out and create a new client folder. So Zapier allows that to happen. Zapier is the special little magic thing in the middle that says, when this happens, then this happens. That's an automation. Something that would have taken my team maybe 10 minutes to do if they get to it. So this was the part where we start to optimize and go, we've got a process, we've got an SOP in place, we've got a process of how this is done. But because it was done manually, what do you think are some of the risks of that happening for that particular process? What do you think are some of the risks or the challenges that might have happened because it was done manually? I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think that some of the risks or even the mistakes or the challenges that might have happened, the task not actually done? Yeah.
Well, first of all, will be inconsistent in the actions taken.
Yeah, inconsistency, absolutely. Yeah, everyone was naming the folders a different way. You know, big caps, little caps, business name here, client name here, and so it couldn't be. If you want to, you know, directorize things in alphabetical order, it would be all over the place. But you're right, Swanee. There were times that it wasn't done because when people are busy, guess what they do? It becomes low priority. The errors in creating the folder name, and here was the other knock-on effect. Because the task wasn't done immediately, other teams that were reliant on that folder couldn't find it when they needed it. So what would happen there, you would find that the other team members who wanted to save documents in that folder would have to wait. And so if it wasn't there, then you'd find you'd open up a file one day and nothing was in it. Right? And so that's the part where we decided, great, we've got an SOP, but because it's manual, there's so much risk that was happening. What do we need to do to optimize it? And hence we put in this automation, what happens instantaneously now. So you can imagine we've reduced error and we've reduced time and we've increased happiness. Overall team happiness, because the folder is there and it's created confidence in that it's going to be there. Right, so automations, and look at ways that you can optimize the way that your team's working through automations. And the final part is going to be AI. And the truth is we cannot avoid the fact that AI is going to be taking over a lot. I want to say taking over, enhancing a lot of how we do things. Yes, it's going to be replacing a lot of that manual labor, but more importantly, it's going to allow us to do more and leverage more. I'd love to hear who's using AI at the moment and what tools you're using in terms of AI. Just stop sharing for a moment. Anyone using AI here? Taking notes on Zoom, yeah. So are you using Zoom's inbuilt AI? No current experience yet, that's okay. So who here has heard of ChatGPT? Yeah. Have you used it before? Richard, have you used ChatGPT before?
Yeah, I do. I use it quite a bit actually. Just more on some documentation and emails and refining certain wording and things like that, more for emails.
Yeah, okay. And how do you find the output?
Generally pretty good. Generally pretty good. I think, I just write a whole lot of stuff down and say, please summarize this and, make it more succinct and professional. And then when it comes back to me, it's sort of, 80 to 90% done.
It sounds pretty good, yeah.
Mm.
And that's what I find. I'm going to show you and share with you some use cases, which is going to give you some Grammarly looking at AI to make calls. Yeah, Swani, I can share with you as well. We've been testing out AI for appointment setting, and I'll just share the experience that we had with that. I actually rang a family member who didn't realize it was AI, and they said, "Oh, one of your team rang me." He was very professional, and that was the scary thing. My AI also rang my husband, and my husband, as husbands do, was trying to be difficult with with the AI, and was trying to throw off the AI. But the great thing, here's the thing with AI, say if you're making calls, they don't have feelings, right? So they're not going to be there getting offended. They're not there getting upset on the call. And so they still have that professionalism and that ability. Different AIs are some AI calling AIs are not that great. Some are excellent. The excellent ones sound like humans who have a really good sense of self and confidence. And so the great thing with the AI and making calls is they can continuously be making calls at any time. And if you feed them enough of the information about your business and so on, you will be absolutely blown away as to how much they can actually answer on a call, which is almost, and it can be sort of even some random questions, but they're able to bring it back to the core of what that call is about. So it's pretty amazing. Persona AI. What's that, Swanee? I haven't heard that one.
Just had a bit of a session on this last week. So you can put in like the persona of your business. For example, your mission, your values. You know, are you professional? Are you easygoing? So you put all these sort of characteristics in this program, and then you say, right, now write a social media spiel on this client, and this client also has a bit of a persona, and it just writes out a whole media post on a sale that you might have just done, based on, you know, the company's persona and your client's persona. So you just, and then you can tweak it. So if you didn't like the way it spat out that post, you tweak how your business persona is, or you know, your core value, and it will tweak it for the next post. I've only had one quick 30-minute session, so I'm yet to use it, but that's apparently what it does.
Excellent. And you can use, I'm just putting down some of the use cases that we use it for as well, note taking. So one of the things that we use our AI for, we use a AI called Fathom. So Fathom automatically can pop up into your meetings if they're online meetings like this. And the great thing is that it summarizes what that meeting is and produces some action items as well. So the great thing is that you're not having to remember every single thing about that particular meeting. You've got a summary. It gives you a good idea, but if you have to share it with other people, they've got a summary. But here's the next thing. We then use that one to update our CRM with call notes. We also use it for our client briefs. So what do we use our client briefs for? Because we do recruitment for virtual staff for our clients. When our team has a meeting with a client who's sharing with them what their brief is and all that, that gets summarized into a client brief, which then is then used for our recruitment. Right. So many great uses. From that note taking, I can also use that for sales emails. I can also use this for, say, if you've got a human resources team, could be able to create your policies. But the main one that I really get excited about is you can create your SOPs. So who's keen to hear? I'm just going to give some really, really quick, and this is a really good one that everyone can take away to start creating your SOPs. Who's keen to hear a simple 3-step way to create SOPs quickly? Yeah, awesome. Okay, so with your SOPs, one really, really clever way to do it is you can do a video, even on a phone. So it doesn't matter where you are. You could video yourself, either video yourself talking through the process, or you can video yourself on a screen. You can use a tool like Loom. You can even Google Meet or Zoom, right? So first thing is you want to extract the process. So you might say, for example, this is the process for booking a flight to Sydney from Brisbane, for example. And you would create the Loom video of you going through and going to Qantas or Jetstar or whatever that might be, putting in the details and all that. Then you get the transcript from that video. And if you're doing a Google or a Loom, you can get the transcript. If you're doing a video, you've just got to extract the transcript, and there's a way to do it. Let's say you know what, you've got a transcript to work with. Then you take that transcript and you go into ChatGPT and you tell ChatGPT, hi, chat friend, because I like to be friendly with ChatGPT, please create an SOP out of this transcript. Right? And I'll show you what that looks like because we do this all the time. And within seconds, it has spat out your SOP. I'm going to use this. So this is, we've created our own SOP writer based on our templates. So I'll put something here where it says, please help me create an SOP for booking international flights from Sydney. Okay, let's see what it says. So what do I need? I need a passport. I need my card for payment, the travel dates, access to booking platform, frequent flyer number. Open the browser and go to here, and you can see within seconds, it's created the step-by-step way of how to book an international flight from Sydney. Sure, you're going to have to then go in and just make sure that there are a few tweaks in place, but imagine how much time that saved you from actually creating the SOP. Would this help you create your SOPs? Who reckons they could use this to create a whole lot of SOPs in their business? Okay. Input. Who wants to give me an example of a particular process that they'd like to document? And I'll stick it in here. Oh, here we have an SOP for Facebook lead appointment. Anyone doing Facebook ads or marketing? Here's another one here where here's a discovery call. Oh, scroll back up here. How to book a growth strategy call. No, how to onboard a new client. All right, understand. So this is actually how to conduct a discovery call. Right, so we're even talking about how to make those actual calls. What are the things that you want to talk about in that call? So Richard, for example, for you, you might have discovery calls with prospects. Not sure if you've got a particular guide, but say if you have another buyer's agent or another 2 or 3 buyer's agents, you want to make sure that there's at least a level of consistency in how they're having conversations with potential leads, and then also be able to go, what's next? What's the call to action? What am I doing next? So having a process in place, if you're training a new buyer's agent or a new salesperson, they can follow this. Yes, they're going to have some level of experience themselves and skill, but then they know what are the steps that they need to take to go, I've secured this, I've qualified them, what are my next steps? All right, here says step 4, ask for feedback. This might not be accurate, but here's step 4, I need to do this, this, and this. Cool? Who reckons they might use that for creating their SOP? SOPs, and so many more here. So going back, that's your systems and processes back here. All right, so those are the key things that you can look at putting into your business. Before you even talk about people, that's okay. No worries. Thanks so much, Scott. Before you even talk about looking at people, is what you can do from your systems and processes and technology to optimize and make things more efficient. Then you go and look at talent. Who are the team members that I need? And is that local? Or do we have team members that are possibly offshore? And that's where we can also help with, because offshore teams allow you to leverage your onshore team a lot better as well. Who here has worked with virtual assistants before? Anyone not know what virtual assistants are or haven't dealt with virtual assistants? So virtual assistants are predominantly they're remote, and they don't need to be, they can be offshore, they can be local virtual assistants as well. All our team are offshore virtual assistants and predominantly from the Philippines. So Swani's familiar with our offshore virtual assistants. And the benefit of being able to leverage virtual assistants is, one, there is a cost component. It's less costly. But ultimately, it's a lot of the back-end administration, operational aspects of things that are really going to allow you as a business to create more profitability, so that it allows you as well to bring on more expensive local staff. And that's the benefit. There's not a either that or that. It's a how can I create a hybrid model, team model, that allows me to scale my business. So you could be paying someone locally, 80, 100,000, when you could be paying someone offshore sort of, between 20, 25, 30, 35,000. So you've got a huge cost difference there, but yet they're allowing you to increase the capacity in your business. But we go back again to your talent. If they've got the systems, they'll be able to implement and then be able to help you grow. So I'm going to start to give it, I know I talked about strategy already, but those were the key things I want to talk about in terms of systemizing your business. You've got the systems and technology side of things, but you also have the team aspect of it going, how can I combine the systems, strategy, and the superstars, or the talent and team, to be able to help me grow? And what are the key things that you could potentially take away from today to sort of start to think about, what do I need to put in place? Does anyone have any questions at this stage? Nope. So in terms of then, I'll just sort of share very quickly around what the Growth Hub does and what we can help with. We predominantly at the Growth Hub help with that systems, processes, and team aspect in terms of team and offshore. We have the ability to help you, and number one is looking at your systems and processes and optimizing it. Swani, one of the things that we're doing at the moment is actually sitting down with either the business owner or the teams in the business owner to extract those processes out of their heads, and for them to show us step by step what they're doing, and we're documenting those processes for them in a similar sort of way to how I've shown you, and actually creating the step-by-step processes and micro processes there. So once you've got that, we then look at ways to optimize your business, whether it's through automation, like putting in a CRM or a task management tool. We've got a team that does that. Or if you need to improve your communications with your team or your clients, we can also help create Slack channels or client dashboard. See you later, Shankar. No problem. And put in those automations as well. And we do that as a key part of then being able to bring on local team, or even your local team or offshore team, to be able to really help grow your business and take it to the next level. So if you're keen to explore how we can help you put that in place, or any of this in place, feel free to reach out to me and book in a time with me as well to have a chat about that. I'll put in my booking link here. No, you'll either speak to myself or one of our team here, and we can definitely have a look to see what you're doing in your business to help free up that capacity so that you can really take things to the next level. And Swani, it may be worth us having another chat as well to just understand where you guys are at and how we can help in that aspect also. So thank you everyone for joining us. I know a few people had to run to 1 o'clock, so all good. I appreciate that. This will be also recorded, and our marketing team will send it out to everyone. I hope that was helpful. Swani, did you have any questions?
Oh, good, thanks. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Swani. Thanks, Bruce, for joining us. Thanks, Rafiq, as well. We shall see you on the next Champion and Business Maximizer. Thanks so much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.